Right now, a silent transformation is unfolding across continents, one that could redefine who controls the arteries of global commerce for decades to come. While many nations argue and delay, China is laying down steel, concrete, and fiber at a scale rarely seen in human history. This isn't just another ambitious construction plan. It's a sweeping vision designed to reshape international trade, energy routes, and geopolitical influence. We're talking about an infrastructure web so vast, it makes the Great Wall feel like an early prototype. A network that links 3 continents, slices through deserts that once stopped entire armies, and bores through mountains once thought impossible to cross. This is the new Silk Road, better known as the Belt and Road Initiative, and what is already being built could change everything. In this video, I'll take you through the 8 most astonishing pieces of this trillion-dollar mega project that is already reshaping the world in real time. And fair warning, by the time we reach number 1, you'll understand why Western governments are paying very close attention. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. 8th, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. We start with a project transforming one of the most strategic regions on Earth. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is far more than a highway. It's a $62 billion declaration of long-term ambition that is redrawing the geopolitical landscape of South Asia. Stretching 1,864 miles from Kashgar in western China to the port of Gwadar on the Arabian Sea, this corridor represents a completely new gateway to the world. And here's why it's so groundbreaking. China is building an alternative route that bypasses the Strait of Malacca, the narrow maritime choke point through which roughly 80% of its oil imports currently pass. The project includes highways cutting across some of the most dangerous mountain terrain on the planet, railways linking once isolated regions, and power plants capable of generating 17,000 megawatts of electricity. At its heart lies the deep water port of Gwadar, giving China direct access to the Indian Ocean. When U.S. military strategists studied these plans, they quickly realized what it meant. China was creating a strategic escape route from its own geographic bottleneck. 7th, the Kazakhstan Railway Network. Deep in Central Asia, China is building a freight system that makes ancient trade routes look primitive. With more than $30 billion invested, the Kazakhstan Railway Network is becoming one of the most efficient transcontinental transport systems ever built. A container leaving eastern China can now reach Europe in just 14 days using this network, compared to 45 days by sea. In effect, China is compressing time and distance to accelerate global trade. The infrastructure includes 47 miles of new railways, with freight trains traveling at 155 meters. The Khorgos Gateway, the world's largest dry port, can transfer containers between Chinese and European railways without unloading them. It handles 500,000 containers per year, with expansion planned to reach 2 million. What is truly strategic is Kazakhstan's position, bordering Russia and China and providing access to Europe. China didn't just build railways. It built the central nervous system of a new global trade network. 6th, the Port of Piraeus, Greece. In 2016, when Greece was drowning in debt and Europe turned its back, China made an offer, $368 million for 51% of the Port of Piraeus. European critics called it a terrible deal. Today they're eating their words. Under Chinese management, Piraeus transformed from a struggling port into the fastest-growing container port in the world. Traffic jumped from 880,000 TEUs in 2010 to more than 5.6 million today, growth exceeding 500%. But here's the masterstroke. Piraeus became the maritime gateway for Chinese goods entering Europe, bypassing congested northern ports like Rotterdam. China invested another $600 million to expand the infrastructure. What looked like opportunism was actually strategic brilliance. China didn't just buy a port. It bought Europe's front door and turned a desperate seller into a grateful strategic partner that defends Chinese interests within the European Union itself. Fifth, the Mombasa-Nairobi Railway. In East Africa, China built something colonial powers promised for a century and never delivered. The Mombasa-Nairobi Railway cost $3.8 billion and is Kenya's largest infrastructure project since independence. Travel time dropped 12 hours to 4 hours. Freight costs fell by 40%. But the most revolutionary aspect is technology transfer. Chinese engineers trained thousands of Kenyan workers. The railway employs more than 46,000 Kenyans and has already transported over 8 million passengers and 6 million tons of cargo. New industrial zones are emerging along the corridor. Kenya plans extensions to Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan. What began as a railway is becoming a regional network integrating East African economies. China understood something the West forgot. Real influence comes from building what people actually need. Fourth, the Kunjarab Tunnel. The Kunjarab Tunnel, at 15,518 feet above sea level, is the highest altitude tunnel in the world. Teams faced oxygen levels 40% lower and temperatures of -40 degrees Celsius. Chinese engineers developed specialized equipment for low oxygen environments. The 4.3-mile tunnel took 5 years to complete. The Karakoram Highway, once closed 6 months a year, now operates year-round. This is crucial because it is the only land route connecting China to the Arabian Sea. Transit time between China and Pakistan was reduced by 30%. China didn't just drill through a mountain, it conquered geography. Third, the Belgrade-Budapest Railway. In the heart of Europe, China is building something that frightens European Union bureaucrats. This 217-mile railway will allow trains to travel at 124 mph, reducing travel time from 8 hours to 3. The real significance is the connection to the port of Piraeus, creating a logistics corridor from the Mediterranean to Central Europe outside European Union control. The $3 billion investment left Brussels furious because Hungary approved the project without consulting the bloc. China is creating a community of European nations economically aligned with Beijing. This is economic diplomacy in its most sophisticated form. Second, the Port of Gwadar and the Free Trade Zone. The Port of Gwadar isn't just a port. It is the cornerstone of China's plan to break its geographic vulnerability. Located at the entrance to the Persian Gulf, through which 40% of the world's oil passes, it received $1.6 billion to become a world-class port with 9 berths capable of handling 400 million tons per year. China is building a 356-square-mile free trade zone, an international airport, desalination plants, and power stations, creating a modern city from scratch. The major strategic move is the direct link to Western China through the Pakistani corridor. Oil arriving in Gwadar travels through pipelines directly into Chinese territory, bypassing the Strait of Malacca. China didn't just build a port, it built an alternative geography. First, the Trans-Eurasian Railway System, and we reach number 1, the mega project that changes everything. The complete Trans-Eurasian Railway System, with more than 5,331 miles, connecting China to Europe, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East. Multiple routes, dozens of countries, and hundreds of logistics hubs integrated into a single system coordinated from Beijing. Travel time between China and Europe fell from 45 days by sea to 14 days by rail. By 2030, 80 million containers, representing $3 trillion in annual trade, will move through these corridors. What worries Western powers most is the geopolitical transformation. For 500 years, maritime powers controlled global trade. China is making that irrelevant. By shifting trade to land routes, a Eurasian bloc emerges where American naval superiority loses importance. Aircraft carriers don't block railways. Countries in the Belt and Road Initiative represent 65% of the world's population and 40% of global GDP. When it reaches full capacity, the economic center of gravity will have permanently shifted to Eurasia. This is not just infrastructure. It is the methodical construction of a new global order with China at the center. Every railway, port, and tunnel represents another thread connecting the world to Beijing. The Belt and Road Initiative isn't just changing how goods move. It is changing who sets the rules, who holds influence, and who shapes the future of civilization. The question isn't whether this will change the world, it already has. What do you think about this transformation? Leave your opinion in the comments. If this video opened your eyes, leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next one.